This week I learned Vince McMahon was never playing a character on TV. He just quit pretending like the cameras weren't on. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update. About halfway through January already, so the new year is off to a roar, and I'm excited to talk about it because I am having a great time with everything that I've been reading. And that's a great place to begin, guys, with what am I reading? I did finish Fool's Errand by Robin Hobb, and guys, I absolutely loved it. This is, without a doubt, my favorite book within the realm of the Eldling so far. And usually with something like that, I say, I need some time to make it marinate. I knew when I was about halfway through this book that this was going to be my favorite book in the series. It's that good. I feel like everything she does in this is everything that I wanted Farseer to do. She does it better in this. And I was really apprehensive after Life Ship of going back to that first-person narrative because I wasn't really wild about that in the Farseer trilogy. With this, for somehow, she hit a home run. It's just perfect now. So I feel like her powers have reached her peak level now, and she is just going to wow me the rest of the way because this was absolutely magnificent. Yes, I do make the jokes about how all anybody ever wants to talk about is how Robin Hobb is going to make you cry. Well, I have a story about that. I actually got to a particular chapter. I won't mention what chapter or what event happens in it because it's still too soon. But I read the first half of the chapter at work on my lunch break, and I'm glad that I stopped there, because I read the second half of that chapter at home in my recliner while the kids were kind of playing on their iPad. Wife was doing her own thing, kind of detoxing from work, looking at her phone, just kind of just quiet. So I'm reading, and all of a sudden I start just the allergies really flared up bad, and my kids didn't understand what was going on. My wife was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No," and I basically had to leave the room because of something that happens in this book. So yes, guys, none of us are immune to this. Robin Hobb will get you in the feels, and it's not undersold. It's not undersold. It really is just that good. And it's one of those things where, when I was halfway through, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to wait till February to read the next book, right? After I finished, it's like, no, I need a little bit of recovery time after that. So the very, very beautiful book, gorgeous. I even wrote a review on Goodreads because I'm not going to be doing individual reviews for Robin Hobb books anymore. I'm going to be doing them as a series, as like that Tawny Man, Rain Wilds, like that. Just keep doing them as a series going forward because I didn't feel like there's enough interest in individual videos. But with this one, I felt like I wanted to give it some special attention because I felt like it deserved it. So I did do that Goodreads review. So if you guys are into Goodreads, I do have a review for it up there. So a wonderful book. And I do look forward to discussing with Philip. Philip hasn't finished yet. I can't believe I finished it before him. That's how good. I never finished a Robin Hobb book that fast. That's just how quick that book flies by. It's just so beautifully written, guys. It's incredible. It's incredible. So if you're like, you're still in Farseer and you're like, I don't know about this, it's worth the journey to keep going, guys. Trust me. It is worth the journey. I also finished Sea of Monsters with my kid, the second Percy Jackson book. Like I said, we're only doing a chapter or two a night, and we're not doing it every night because some nights he just stays up late, and I'm like, yep, you blew your reading time. You got to go to bed. Look, I'm a fun dad, but I'm still a dad, right? So we did actually finish this. He liked it quite a bit. I know a lot of fans have been telling me that they thought that this was the worst one of the five, and if that's the case, great, because I think my kid actually liked this one a little better than he liked Lightning Thief because he liked Tyson, or maybe he just liked the voice that I was doing for Tyson. Yes, I do voices when I read to him, and he comes to expect the best now. He will actually tell me, that voice isn't working, let's try something different. So he is my best critic, but he enjoyed this quite a bit. In fact, he wanted to start The Titan's Curse immediately, and I was like, dude, it's like an hour past your bedtime already. We will start tomorrow. So like I said, fun dad, but still a dad, so I do have to make sure I enforce that. But we're having a great time reading those. And after I finished Robin Hobb, I said I want to get back to doing my standalones, my palate cleansers in between big epic fantasy reads. So I thought the best thing after a Robin Hobb book would be something really fast-paced, like a thriller that only Blake Crouch can do. And guys, I started Run, and I thought I'll just check out, the prologue, first chapter or two kind of thing, get associated with the characters. I didn't put the book down. I read the whole book in one day. That's how good. Now, guys, it's 284 pages, which might seem like a lot to some people. If you've read Blake Crouch before, you can fly through his books really quick. This might be his fastest-paced book he's ever written. And it's amazing because I thought going backwards, I was actually going to start liking his books less and less because most authors do get better as time goes by. And I won't say that this has topped his big hitters here like Recursion or Dark Matter, but I put right beneath that. I don't think it's as polished as those two books are, but the plot in this is just so fast-paced. And what really grabbed me with this one is Blake always puts an emphasis on the importance of family in his books. But this is his most family-centric book yet. And if you are married with children, you're going to absolutely love this. It's going to resonate with you in an amazing way. All of the dad shit, as I call it in this, really, really got me right in the feels. And just it's one of those things where I read some of the reviews and some people are like, oh, the kids are annoying. I don't know if you guys have kids. Yeah, kids are annoying. But here's the thing. The stress that they're going under in this book, the situation, guys, those kids handle this like champs, and I am like worried for them as if like they're my own kids the whole time. And dude, it just never lets up. The end of the first chapter until the epilogue, if it were. I don't think it actually has an epilogue. It's just the last chapter. But it doesn't let up the whole time, guys. It is just incredibly fast-paced. And again, it's not as science-based as a lot of his stuff is, but that's just why I call him the heir apparent to Michael Crichton, because he will write an idea and it will just take off like a rocket and it will not let you go until the last pages. So I never expected to finish this in one day, but guys, it is so good. I would say it's probably my third favorite. Yes, even above Wayward Pines, which I loved. I say it's probably my third favorite book behind Dark Matter and Recursion. So I go Dark Matter, Recursion, then Run. That's my top 3 Blake Crouch books. So I'm excited. Crouch himself was excited. He was messaging me about it after he saw my Goodreads review, and we were talking back and forth some things that he said he would like to change, and I was like, I wouldn't have changed nothing, man. I think it was great. So I think as an author, it's always fun to hear that, and it's really wild to me still that I have these major published authors who are messaging me about their books. And that's just always so surreal to me. So what do you know? Authors are real people too. They love to talk about things as well. But again, Blake Crouch just does not let me down. Again, at this point, Abandon is my least favorite book, and it was really good. So 8 for 8 Blake Crouch is so far for me. And I think I'm going to be doing the Andrew Z. Luther Kite series sometime this summer. And I'm excited to start that because Blake Crouch, man, just automatic. Put him on your TBR, guys, if you haven't done so yet. So how about what am I going to read? Well, I did start The Titan's Curse with my kid. That's book number 3 in Percy Jackson Olympia. It's only read the first 2 chapters. In the last 2 nights, he's been playing his VR, and he doesn't needed me anymore. So it goes through things like that. But on school nights, we'll get back to this. I think they had a 4-day, because they just had 2 weeks off for Christmas. And my school district decided, hey, you know what? They need a 4-day weekend now. So I don't know. I don't feel like I ever got these when I was in school. Anyhow, so we'll be resuming this probably when school starts back. But we both do like where it has begun. It's introduced Artemis, which we're both very, very excited about. Again, he's a huge Greek mythology fan. And it's just perfect, guys. If you got a kid between like the 8 to 12 range, I think these books are just going to be a smash hit for them. He absolutely loves them. And I started, it's a digital read. I don't have a physical copy of it. I started Lancelot by Giles Christian. I read Hellmouth last year and I loved it. And I saw some people were going to be doing his Arthurian Tales on the Discord in January and February. So I said I'll jump on board for that. I'm about 6 chapters in, which is about 20% because they're long chapters. And it's still very much in the coming of age section, which I love. With Lancelot. With me, it's like after reading Warlord Chronicles and Bernard Cornwell kind of doing Lancelot dirty, it's like I'm trying to have to like clear my mind, like I did when I read Warlord Chronicles, and I kind of had to clear my mind of the Thomas Mallory Arthurian legend that I love, trying to have to clear my mind of that to accept something new. With this, I'm kind of like, it almost feels like a Lancelot in an alternate timeline, or if he had taken a different path of the beam than the one in Warlord Chronicles. So lots of emphasis on an animal companion, which I was actually really surprised about, but it doesn't go quite the way I think that you would expect. So historical fiction, obviously, is going to be a little different than historical fantasy, I guess you would say, when it comes to the Arthurian legend. That's up for debate always. But I feel like it's very much grounded in the way that Bernard Cornwell did the story as much as possible so far. Haven't seen anything magic or fantastical yet. So I think it's, again, just like that, very much in that same beat, which I think it's easy for me to say. If you like the Warlord Chronicles, I think you're going to like this as well. But again, if you're like me and you're married to Thomas Mallory's story, it's a little tough for you to accept. But if you haven't read any of that stuff, guys, I think it'd be easy for you just to slip into this just as you're reading a fantasy book. And I think that you will be right at home. But I'm interested to see how far this is going to go. Are we going to go as far as Guinevere? Are we going to go as far as Galahad? I don't know how far we're going to go with the character, because I know it is a planned trilogy, and he's writing book 3 at the moment. So we'll see. We'll see. But nothing but good things to say so far. And yes, Hellmouth wasn't just a flash in the pan. The guy is a very, very good writer. And I haven't actually talked to him about it yet. But we joke around on Twitter all the time. I'm hoping after I finish Camelot to get him to come on the channel and talk to me about it, because I would love to pick his brain about where he got some of these ideas that he is rolling with and what I can do to force him to write more medieval fantasy, because I think he would be the best in the game at it. So what else, guys? Okay, so I do plan, if I do finish Lancelot this week, my last read for the month is The Regulators by Stephen King. So now, Richard Bachman. The thing with this is also another short book, and I've never expected, I planned ahead to where I plan to give myself a good 10 days on my reading schedule. That's usually what it takes for me to read a Robin Hobb book. It's a good 10 days, because our books are so dense, it's nothing I can really fly through. I flew through Fool's Errand in 3 days, so I've got an extra week to make up here. So I said, okay, well, if I finish, I don't want to start working on my February stuff yet, so what do I do? Well, what I plan to do, and that's just use my palate cleanser series, which is The Legend of Drizzt Do'Urden, and this will be the beginning of Legacy of the Drow. So unless Lancelot really just I hit a wall on it, and I know Regulators I'll fly through, so I'm going to have extra time. So I think I want to go ahead and start The Legacy of the Drow. Is that the slickest cover? Look, I love 80s medieval fantasy art. I think it's amazing, but there's just something about these that are just so clean, so epic. This art is just so good. And it makes me sad that they stopped at book 15, because these reissues are just incredible. But I'm excited because I've loved the first 2 arcs in Drizzt, and a lot of people have told me that Legacy of the Drow is the best of those 3. So I'm excited to see. We got some stuff. We're going to be going back to Menzoberranzan. I can't wait, because there is some unfinished business, I think, with this certain little creature right here on the cover, and I'm excited to do it. And yeah, I'm just having a great time in the Forgotten Realms, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But that's really all I've got planned, guys, I think, for the next week or two. But you know what? It's been a great reading month so far, and I'm excited to see what comes next. But let's talk about this week on the channel. Things were a little somewhat slow going, because if you don't follow the community posts that I made, I did have a computer problem. I came in here, my room, to actually record some videos on Sunday morning, and realized that my power supply had died on my computer. And for whatever reason, you go to all the big box electronic stores, and none of them had it. They're all like, yeah, we can't get it for you until next week. So I went on Amazon. They could get it for me on Monday. So I actually just had to wait until Monday to fix my computer. And then all I was really able to find time during the week to do, guys, was a couple of wrap-up videos. So I just decided, let's just make it a week to wrap up 2022. And that would be my December 2022 book haul, which, of course, is always a lot of fun. I mean, what can I say about book hauls I haven't said already? I think they're a lot of fun. I get to tell people thank you for the wonderful stuff they sent me, and there were some very, very wonderful things I got. But again, with book hauls, I think people just, they like to see what other books look like, if they're thinking about adding them to their collection. So always a ton of fun for me, and I love to tell you guys how much I do appreciate you, as I did in the 2022 year-end wrap-up. Now, with this, what I try to do with this was a little different than I do with my monthly wrap-ups. I talk about my most read authors. I talk about, my biggest reading surprise of the year, my biggest reading shock of the year. Talked about every one of my books of the month, things like that, to kind of try to change it up a little bit so it didn't feel monotonous with just the monthly wrap-up that I just did for December. So I thought it was a lot of fun going back and reflecting on a lot of those books of the month and looking at, how many of those books of the month actually made my year in top 10. And that was actually one of those things you realize I just had some banger months in there. Some books got buried. I kind of made a comparison of all the time where you see these big hits by Elvis or the Beatles, and one of them only reached number 2 because the other one had to take number 1. So sometimes you have just two real top number 1 hits in the same month, and it's just going to happen sometimes. But it's a lot of fun for me. And then the reason that the weekly update's coming out today instead of Friday is because we had planned to do a live stream on Friday for the Farseer trilogy. That is our panel of the Elderlings that we're doing for each one of the series in the realm of the Elderlings. So I was joined by Philip and Jake and Madison and Scott, and we talked spoilers for 2 hours about the Farseer trilogy last night, and that was so much fun for me. Because I feel like I got picked on a couple times, which I expected because, I wasn't wild about the third book in that trilogy, and everyone else on the panel really, really was. But it was nothing fair, nothing malicious. Everyone had a good time. There's some disagreements, but I think, when you got 5 people, you're going to have some disagreements, but hey, that's what this channel's all about. We can disagree, and we can still go get a coffee afterwards. It's okay. No one's mad. These are books that we all love. We love to read, and we love to talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, and not everything's going to work for everyone. But it was a great time, and I want to thank all 4 of them for taking the time off on a Friday night, especially since I know some people were really, really busy with real life stuff to make the time to give me 2 hours and talk about these books. So I really do appreciate it. I can't wait for us to do live ship traders in February, because I think it's going to be just such a radically different conversation, because it is such a radically different series, but in the best way. So we're going to have so much to talk about there, and I can't wait to do it. So again, thank you guys that joined us for that. And if you haven't read Farseer yet and you couldn't watch, that's okay. That video will always be there for you, and I hope you'll check it out after you've read the Farseer trilogy and give me your thoughts on that. How about a little bit of next week plans, guys? Because I did run out of time during the week, I didn't get to do that Icewind Dale trilogy review. So I will be doing my Icewind Dale trilogy review of the Legend of Drizzt next week. I will also be doing another review, which is going to be the first in a big series as we run up to the release of Lightbringer by Pierce Brown. So I'm going to begin with my standard spoiler-free re-review, as I'm calling it, because I've already reviewed it, but I'm going to do it good this time, of Red Rising, book number 1 in the Red Rising saga. So look for that sometime this week. I'm really, really proud of the reading introduction that I made for that one. So if you guys are into that, and you like the one that I did in my Why You Should Read Red Rising, I think you'll be in favor of what I've done this time. I've already bounced it off of a couple of my patrons to see if they think it lived up to their expectations, and I've gotten thumbs up on that. So I'm very excited about that. And I think I'm also going to be doing something, not next week, but soon, that I'm going to announce now. I have decided I'm going to be doing spoiler talks for each one of these Red Rising books as well, but I'm going to be having a couple of guests on to talk with them about. And this is going to be, if you guys podcast at all, there is a podcast I used to listen to a lot. I haven't in a while because there haven't been any new books. But Howler Pod is very much a podcast just based off of the works of Pierce Brown and Red Rising. Now, Ben and Aaron run an awesome, awesome show over there, but I don't recommend that you guys listen to it until you've read all the books, because they will spoil something that happens in book 4 in their podcast for books number 1. But what they do is they do chapters for, five chapters at a time, going through the book and talk about that stuff. Well, they've agreed to come on the channel and talk spoilers with me for Red Rising. Now, right now, the plan is we're going to do this for every single book, but, real life gets in the way sometimes, and it's hard for me to make sure that I have someone commit to 5-6 months worth of programming, especially, when podcasting is much more convenient than, YouTube. It really, really is. So if they can't make all of them, that's fine. I've told them I understand that, but they sound really game right now, and I'm really, really excited. They've actually, met Pierce Brown, so I feel like I got the real street cred coming onto the show here. But I always love their podcast because they're like me. They like to sling around some loose language and have a good time talking about what makes these books great. And I can't wait to talk to them about Red Rising number 1 and see what they thought. If I have some time this week, guys, it is going to be more than just a review. I do have an idea for something I talked about in my year-end wrap-up. I was talking about my video I made where I said, 15 worst books I've read since I started this channel. And I joked in that I said, if I made the opposite of that, the 15 best books I've read since starting this channel, it probably wouldn't get as many views as that one did. Well, I'm going to find out, because I think I'm going to do my 15 best books I've read since I started this channel. Now, that isn't going to count rereads. So I think that's going to be, it's going to be interesting for me to compile that list as much as talk about it. But I do think it deserves to, I love to spread positivity, guys. So I think it would be, it makes sense for me to go ahead and make that counterpart video. And I'll be trying to get that going this week. That's all I got kind of planned for the channel. I do have some TV and movie talk things before I go. I kind of joked about it there with Vince McMahon. If you guys haven't heard, last week, it just kind of broke out of nowhere that Stephanie McMahon was resigning from the WWE. That's crazy. Her and Triple H basically were running the show now. Well, no, it turns out Vince has forced his way back in. It's basically real-life Succession. If you guys watch Succession on HBO, where Logan's always promising his daughter Shiv that he's going to give her the company, and then he just reneges every single time. It's kind of like that. I believe, who knows? But then it kind of broke later, and it wasn't confirmed that Vince had sold the company to PFI in Saudi Arabia, which was like, what in the world is going on? You're telling me after all these years, the Iron Sheik won? No. In reality, guys, that wasn't confirmed. That was just a rumor. It's been denied since. But WWE is for sale. Vince is basically saying, if I can't run it, I'm going to sell it for billions. And I mean, you know what? In the end, it's his company. He can do that as much as we may not like it. It very much is in character with his character that he played on TV, which, like I've joked, clearly wasn't a character at all. With this, there are apparently some of the big names involved. Of course, Disney's trying to buy it, and please don't let Disney buy it. I can't have 48 WWE spinoffs on Disney Plus. Please don't let that happen. ESPN's interested. Lots of the big hitters are interested. Hell, AEW is even interested, which to me was like, wow, it's like the Monday Night Wars all over again. Now, I believe that Vince would take a loss in his sale to sell it to someone else over selling it to, I don't want to say his competition, because I don't feel like AEW was ever really a threat to WWE. They probably got a little bit more than Impact ever got, but it's not like they were WCW or something like that. They should have been. They have the talent to be. They have the budget to be. But I just can't see him selling WWE to competition. And, Tony Khan has said he wants to merge them. He wants to merge AEW and WWE into one big giant thing. Obviously, as a wrestling fan, that's what I would like to see. I would like to see that just because you have the most amazing talent pool. And I feel like those guys, if they had the branding, they could make a really, really great product. But, again, in the end, it's crazy, unpredictable times. Never know. It's going to be weird seeing WWE without Abe McMahon running it. It's going to be very, very strange. It's got to be one of those things where Shane McMahon's got to be telling Stephanie right now, I told you, I've been telling you for decades now. That's what it feels like. But the work that Triple H has put in and him basically getting pushed off, that's awful, man. I feel bad, but you know what? That's business. That's business. It's never really fun. I want to talk about a movie real fast before I go, and it's going to be quick, because I'm going to talk about it on Mike's Media Reviews. Yes, I'm going to be reviving Mike's Media Reviews from the dead, but I got to talk about this movie RRR, which means Rise, Roar, and Revolt. Now, this is a big hit from India, and it's actually crossed over in the States about how popular this movie is getting. Now, with me, I haven't watched a ton of Indian cinema. I always felt like the special effects are laughable. The over-the-top action scenes are just, they make a Marvel movie seem grounded. And, I'm not really crazy about them having, like, this big, crazy war epic, and all of a sudden they stop to sing and dance for a scene or two. But, if you've watched any Indian cinema, that happens. That happens. Now, this isn't Bollywood. This is Tollywood. As far as what the difference is, I'm not really sure I understand completely. I haven't really done my research, but I will before I do that review. But this movie, guys, was absolutely amazing. I have it as my second favorite movie of 2022 behind only Top Gun Maverick, and that's close. This movie was absolutely insane, over the top, ridiculous, absurd, and awesome at the same time. I cannot believe how much I loved this movie. It was so good. Hollywood wishes that they can make a movie this good right now, and I'm not even kidding. It's so incredible, guys. It has this amazing friendship story. It has these over-the-top, amazing action sequences with good CGI. Right? Now, some of the animals look kind of goofy, but again, when you've seen a lot of these other movies, it's nothing by comparison. But some of the action scenes are just, again, like I said, if you embrace the insanity of these action scenes, you will absolutely love this. And guys, the sing and dance part that I was talking about might be the best part of the movie. My kids even love that dance, love that song. They play it on the streaming, the Amazon streaming device. I don't like to say her name because then they'll start yapping. It's great, guys. It is such a good song. It's such a great movie. Has so many great themes in it, and not in a preachy way. Like if this was Hollywood, you look at this movie and you see all the stuff that they would have changed and made it a little more heavy-handed. This leaves things very subtle. It has things to say about the world, and it takes place in the 1920s. With the whole Indian Revolution against Great Britain. It's just amazing, guys. It really, really is good, and it's one of those things. Like again, don't take it too seriously, and I think you're going to absolutely love it. It's so good. And I mean, there will be action scenes that make you laugh. There'll be something that make you say, oh man, that is so rad. It would never freaking happen. It's like if you've watched like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, you had no problem with them having being able to defy gravity. I think you'll like it just fine. But guys, it's so good. I've heard some people be like, oh, it's like an Indian MCU movie. This is better than any MCU movie I've seen in a decade. It is really just that good, guys. I absolutely loved it. Blew me away. My wife loved it just as much. My kids watched all the action scenes. They were crazy for it. So it's just an amazing movie, guys. It really, really is. It's on Netflix in the States. Please watch it, because I think that you will see that, man, it just got me optimistic that maybe Hollywood would realize, oh, well, maybe it'll be like manga. People got tired of United States comics and they started going to manga. If people are getting sick of Hollywood's heavy-handedness, maybe they'll just go and check out cinema in other countries, because I think there's some great stuff for you to find out there. Now, it's dubbed and it has subtitles. Personally, I prefer the subtitles because this thing dubbed just never sounds right. And I just can't handle the words not matching the lips. It drives me crazy. But do what works for you, but just watch it. I think you guys, it is 3 hours. It has an intermission. So if you want to break it up at like the hour, 37-minute mark, I think, you can break it into 2 nights like we did. But yeah, just such a great time. I hope you guys will check it out. But guys, that was my week. What was your week like? Why don't you drop in the comments and let me know what you're reading, what you're watching, what you're listening to, what you're playing. There are no wrong answers. So you guys have an awesome and safe weekend, and I will talk to you down below.